More than a month ago, I quit being a night crawler in a city down south. It wasn't because I didn't like the job. It was pretty enjoyable. I didn't mind the late nights. I'm a night owl. Besides that, I'm somewhat of a degenerate that the crime scenes did not affect me. I'm not bragging about that. It is what it is. But, ever since I ran from it, I can feel something slowly creeping back into my life. Something has changed. I've seen it at my new job. I don't want it to be this way. So maybe if I get this off my chest, it will go away. Or maybe one of you here knows what I'm talking about. Let me explain. For those who don't know, a nightcrawler is a term made popular by the Jake Gyllenhaal movie of the same name. The way I made money was by spending nights listening to the police scanners and waiting. When something went down, a murder, a car crash, you name it, I was the first one at the scene. I had to be. If I didn't get the shot, I didn't get paid. So, I was a first responder in a way, but my role was strictly observational. I did not get involved, and for good reason. I'll spare you the details, but I've seen some pretty gruesome stuff. Nothing like New York or Los Angeles, but there was still a crime problem, and there was a lot of it. I was happy to make money as a young guy with no degree and no connections. I also felt like I was pretty good at it too. The local assignment editors would hit me up, asking if I had anything new. The night that ended my career was quiet. Like every evening, I was sitting on the hood of my 2015 Impala, listening to the airwaves. I had made an abandoned mall parking lot my base of operations. It allowed me to focus. The scanner was tame. Chatter was a minimum between the dispatchers. Weekends could be slow, but I remember thinking how odd it was about how quiet it was. I had not shot anything all that week, and I was strapped for cash. The last thing I had sold was a head-on collision between two drivers. It hadn't been my most explicit shot, but it had gotten the job done. Still, I didn't get residuals if it played for consecutive nights. I got off the hood of my car and began to pace. The silence was killing me. I couldn't sit still, and I knew if I did, I would end up driving aimlessly around. I never did that, since you never knew where an event would happen. The channels in my area were always reliable, but not this night. I needed to search for other channels. Lots of static came through as I twisted the knob. I went end to end on the frequencies. I even tried to see if I could get the next county over, but there was nothing. It was looking like I was going to have to end the night. I hated going home before the sun was up, but what could I do? I knew if I was desperate, I would not get what I wanted, so I decided to call it. As I approached the driver's door, a loud bang echoed through the night. I knew it was a gunshot. I'd heard them up close before. I waited a moment to see if there were any others. As soon as it went quiet, I flipped on the main police frequency. 331, calling all units. 331, calling all units. An all-unit call meant the shooting was of high importance. I thought it was strange, since it was only the one gunshot fired, but what did I know? 331, this is Squad 271, over. 271, possible 1091, reported at Beverly in Overton. What is your status? 1091, confirm the shooting. At the sound of that, I ripped open the driver's door and started the ignition. Beverly and Overton, it was close. Probably 15 minutes with the way I drive. My nocturnal business had helped me indicate which streets had red light cameras. I could be there in less than 5 minutes. I shut the scanner off and shifted into drive. I arrived at the location to find it empty. There was not a soul in sight. Not unusual for this time of night, or for this part of town. I thought that they might have misreported it, but I knew that wasn't the case. I parked on the side of the road and prepared. I pulled out my camera, checked the battery life, and white balanced. I began to survey the area, panning from behind to front. Sometimes, I'm able to see better through the camera. I tend to pick things up easier, whether I can zoom or brighten the view. As I came around the front, I finally saw it. My thumb instinctively hit record. There was a body, about 10 yards in the distance. I hadn't seen it when I first arrived, because it was all in black. A suit, from what I could tell. It was lying halfway into the bushes on the sidewalk. As I held the shot on it, I watched the wind ruffle the fabric. I felt my free hand reach for the door handle, but froze. The leg in the street stretched out. It was alive. I'd never captured anything like this before. I just sat and let the camera roll. I'd get paid well for this one. I could see the dollar signs. The stations would eat it up. My mind fell into the bliss of finally having a paycheck again. I could feel my shoulders fall. I sank back into my car's cloth seats. Bang, bang, bang. A fist hit against my door's window. I jumped and looked over. A woman in a red dress and streaky makeup, and she was staring at me. She looked worn out, like she'd just run a marathon. Her voice was muffled as she kept screaming for me to turn the camera off. I did not recognize that I had it pointed at her. Old habits. At first, I didn't think to put it away, but then I noticed her gun. It wasn't aimed, but I lowered the camera. I rolled down my window to hear her better. "I need your help," she shouted. "Cops are on the way," I said. "You don't understand. They can't help." "They can. Just let them do their job," I said. She gripped the snub-nosed revolver in her hand so tight that her knuckles were turning white. I might have seemed a little too calm here, but this is just how I remember it. In the corner of my eye, the red light was still lit on the camera. It was going to be one hell of a shot. "He's not going to die from this," she said, and waved the gun. "Are you sure? Unless you run him over." I was speechless. "Please," she said. Her voice softened. "I need you." "What?" "He's not a man. He's something else." Clearly, this woman was out of her mind. The two of them had probably gotten high on some pills or something, and now she was having a psychotic break. It sounded more plausible than the man being something else. I knew I had to keep calm and try my best to keep myself out of trouble. "I think you should wait for the police," I said. I gently released the camera and let it fall into my crotch. I didn't make a move for the gear shifter, but I was preparing. It seemed like the barrel of the gun was coming my way. "Please," she begged. "It can't live." I should have driven off, but I didn't. I wish I could have helped her. For a moment, I thought about letting her sit in the car, but that thought died to my selfish need for survival. I was not getting involved. I could not break my rules. "I'm sorry," I said. "I can't help you. I shouldn't even be here," I said. My hand crept to the gear shifter. My foot hovered over the gas pedal. Click. The woman raised the gun to my head. "Get out," she demanded. I immediately raised my hands. She came over to the door and pulled the handle. It was locked. I never unlocked my doors unless I was leaving the car. I'd been carjacked before. She tried to force it open, but it was not happening. I remained motionless. "I will shoot you. I'm not afraid." I watched as the barrel met my direct line of sight. The darkness was deep down the nozzle. I could see each of the bullets in their chambers in the one empty pocket. I understood that my miserable life could be ended right here. I would be shot by someone random, some random unhinged woman. Seemed like a fitting end, but that was halted by flashing red and blue lights. The woman turned to the police. I heard a shout while she raised her weapon. A barrage of gunfire was unleashed. Soon she was on the floor. Somehow my camera had made it back to my hand. I captured the whole thing. The police rushed up to the woman and began assisting her. One shouted at me to see if I was okay, but I pointed at the body in the distance. I panned to see if he was still there, and he was. However, he was standing. He looked normal, like he had not been shot, but there was something sinister on his face. I don't know if it was in his smile or his eyes, but the way he was staring at me, it gave me the creeps. He knew I was watching, and he seemed happy I was. As we held each other's eyesight, his eyes flashed red. I'm not kidding. and it wasn't from the police lights. His eyes literally glowed bright red. The cop banged my open window with his flashlight, and I looked over with the camera. "Step out of the car," he said. He was a very heavy-set guy with a big beard. No gun was pulled, but he didn't look too happy. "You have to help him." I pointed over to the men standing and smiling. The cop looked over, and he looked back. "Are you high? Get out of the car." You probably saw that one coming. But still, imagine my shock when I panned over once more to find that the smiling man was gone. The area was empty. The cop opened my door from the inside. The two officers interrogated me. They took my camera, searched my interior, and breathalyzed me. They weren't sure if I was a dealer or this woman's pimp. After telling them everything and then checking the video, they sent me on my way home. They kept my camera, obviously. On any other night, I would have been upset, but I knew this was my last. The next week I moved. I surprisingly found a job as an archivist in a newsroom. It's simple and boring, but I operate the same hours as before. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed the story so far. If you do and you want to hear more, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment down below, as it lets the algorithm know that you like my content and it promotes it to more people. My goal for the channel is to hit 50,000 subscribers, and we're closing in fast, so thank you, and back to the stories. Let me tell you my story. Not unique or impressive, but cautionary. Stay safe out there if you ride that elevator down to the trash when you're working in the city. I'll drop it in the replies. OP here. Be me last year. Working my usual shift as an overnight cleaner. Working at a mall this time. Easy cash. I was a bit of a night crawler before anyways, so this is a win, and it works for my hours. Easy shift. Mop shitty fake marble floors. Collect trash bags from cans. Get to listen to whatever I want. No supervision. Just do my job and get the fuck out. Only problem is, since I'm cleaning a building with so many windows with residential above it, I have to work in the pitch black, toss bag after bag in the cart, and roll it around the building to the staff area and over to the old freight elevators. Building was built around some older brick buildings during a revitalization effort or some shit, I'm told. Walk in, and I slide my phone into my right chest pocket with my flashlight on. Important promise, fuck off. Gate doesn't close properly and have to pull it closed. Floodlights are all that's on up here. Starting to feel like something just stepped on my heart as I descend down to the sublevels where the compactors are. When I reach my level, they have some service lights on. Much better. Take some of the edge off. Step out of the elevator. Look around, and I'm hit by a blast of freezing cold air. I'm talking low, 20 degrees, maybe lower. Feel my bones in my fingers after a couple of seconds. It's the middle of August. Freaked the fuck out, but not getting paid to be a bitch, so I go back into the elevator and grab my cart. Start hauling it over to the compactor. When I'm done, we're supposed to leave our carts by the compactor for the morning crews to haul up and prepare for the day. None of the other cleaning guys' carts are there, so I suck it up and light up. Come to where the flavor is, .jpg. Cough like a bitch. Fucking hate smoking, but grew up with my grandparents, avid smokers. Makes me feel like home. Not this time though, man. Freezing my balls off, listening to some Margaritaville. Would rather be anywhere else than be some wagey working this shit show. Get that feeling on my chest again, like something is sucking up all of the blood in my body. Feels like my heart is pounding a million times a minute, but no blood is coming through when I take a look around. Still nobody else. Their cart should be here by now. It's 2:27 a.m. Normally we're all finished up by 2:30. Get up off my ass. Feel like I just got hit by a truck when I toss my cig into the trash cart and grab my broom off it. Walk towards some swinging doors across the room. Never been through them. Always take the elevator back up. Guys always said, it just leads into a network of service passages connecting the mall and the apartments. Fuck it, why not? Might as well find my bros. Better that than die of boredom in a trash room. Open the doors and see attached photo. Sent it to my brothers to make a corny joke about ghosts. take my headphones off and start walking down, freezing like a stream of piss in Alaska. It gets colder the more I go on. Calling for my guys now, wondering where the fuck they went. Supposed to check in at the compactors before we clock off. Prevents any legal shit should some dumbass get lost or trapped, and lets the rest of us start a quick search. Just the constant buzz of service lights above me. No matter how hard I shout for my coworkers, nobody is fucking there. Not a soul, except for me. Keep wandering the service tunnels for a bit. Nothing, nobody, just me in the cold. Then I hear it, and the cold goes. Shuffling. Nah, not shuffling. Scraping. Like something is being dragged. Heaving too. Run towards, see nothing, but the scraping gets closer. Sounds like somebody sliding across asphalt after getting in a crash. Just the completely deafening sound of scraping. Sounds like flesh is tearing. Nails and bones are breaking. Buzz my head a bit. Lights hurt my eyes like somebody is grabbing them when I feel the pain in my chest worsen. Feel like I'm going to die when the scraping reaches its loudest before I turn and trip like a total fat fuck. Take a spill and scramble to stand up while whatever that scraping was turns into a constant screaming sound like it's whistling through the air around me. Accidentally manage to slam into the corridor wall trying to get my bearings. Break my right hand in the process and start dashing back to the compactor room. Fuck my coworkers. Too broke to die, too broke to live. Sounds like the depths of hell have opened up behind me. Don't look back as I make a dash through the halls. Everything seems so loopy now since I lost my sense of direction, taking a hit to the head when I tried to run. The scraping sound continues, like they're tearing apart my own body around me as I make turn after turn, navigating my way through the tunnels under the mall. Constant what the fuck. Feel like I'm lost until it hits me again. The cold. Holy shit, am I glad to be back in this shit world. Turn the corner into the main tunnel to the swinging doors and the compactor room. Almost home free. Whatever the fuck is making that primal noise is still behind me. Not so close since it lagged behind me in the corridors, but whatever I gained, I'm losing as it starts sounding closer all over again. Not a sound of footsteps, but a gliding slide of flesh. Left hand tightens all the way around my broom now. Scarlet fisted as I bash through the double doors into the compactor room. Slide my broom in between the handles and turn back to see the machines, whirring and answering to the wounds of rending flesh like a louder and stronger god. My crew is there waiting for me. How the fuck? They look at me like I just broke out of Met Correct and snuck my way through the tunnels back to civilization. Nobody believes me. It was apparently 3:43 when I came back. Nobody came looking for me. We all hustle into the elevator and they walk me back to my car. We agreed to never talk about it again. Our team got reassigned the next shift to a new location. Every time they're late, I'm afraid it will happen again, bros. Am I losing my mind, or is there something beneath Chicago? Not really paranormal, but why not? Be me, like 8 to 10 years old. Have this friend named Christopher. Tall, pasty white kid, and really weird, but I did not think much of it at the time. Both of his parents were Asian, with thick accents, so I think he was adopted. One summer my mom spent a lot of time making these wooden cutouts of cartoon characters that she would resell online. She and Christopher's mom decide it would be a fun hobby to work on together. So from then on, for the entire summer, I would go to Christopher's house literally every day since my mom didn't have a job. Sick. Get to spend every day with my friend. One night I was having a sleepover at his house with another kid named Chameleon. Watching Mortal Kombat and shooting the shit. Having a good time. All of a sudden, Christopher says, "We should play the SEX game." Don't really understand what he means. I knew what sex was, but I didn't think it was supposed to be a game. Chameleon agrees and says that I would really like the tongue part because it feels really good. I get really nervous, but I was a people pleaser and didn't have a lot of friends, so I just didn't want to say no. Just keep saying that I'm not sure. Somehow, Christopher and I both end up in his bed, both of us in our underwear. Genuinely don't remember how we got to that point. I think Chameleon had already gone home or something. He keeps asking me if I want to do it, if I want to play that game. Just keep saying I don't think we should. Eventually I finally say no. Don't really remember what happened after that. I think I put my clothes back on and we just went back to playing video games like normal. Keep going to his house every day like nothing happened. Eventually we stopped hanging out altogether. Just kind of grew apart. I remembered what happened a few years later, but it never really bothered me. Really creepy to me now that I'm older. Too much protection. 2014. Police officer. I am fresh out of police school. Just started to work at a station on the edge of town, of a capital city of a former East Bloc country. Naive greenhorn.exe. It's the new year, and I patrol the streets with my partner. I hate this guy. He is right about everything. Never uses police lights, and is an all-around, typical burnt-out coward. He's also as thin as a paper. We call him Short Round at the station. We get a call about a fire in one of the concrete tower block houses in our district. The caller sees a smoke and flames from a window. It's a few hundred meters from where we are. The operation officer calls us to respond, and we slowly get there without police lights, as usual with Short Round. In the distance I see the special order unit, 8 people driving in a police van around town with supposedly better training and equipment. Something like a SWAT unit, but they have to patrol like us. We get there at the same time, because they used the police lights, and we didn't. Run up the stairs, it's on the 7th floor. Smell the smoke, but don't see any flames. Neighbors point me to a door. Ring up the doorbell hard while banging on the door. Nothing. Decide to kick it open. Short Round gets on the 7th floor and just stands by the window. Wait for the firefighters, they should be here any minute. I don't reply. Get a few steps back and try to kick down the door with a stop kick. Instant pain.mp4. Unlike in the movies, the door didn't even react, as if it was made from steel. Meanwhile, the 8 police officers from the special order unit get here. Get the hell out of my way. They have a battering ram. That is basically a piece of heavy as hell pipe with a square strip of steel and handles welded to it. They ram the thing into the lock area 20 or so times. Nothing. The material around the lock gets destroyed, yeah, but the door itself does not move at all. We all look at each other. Meanwhile, the firefighters get on the scene. By now there's about 20 people on this floor. They get a special crowbar and ram it in between the door and the door frame. They do this like 10 times and pull each time. Still nothing. What the fuck, man? They get a hydraulic machine they used to get people from total cars. With that machine they crack the door open. Pop.mp3. As if they opened an old crypt that was unopened for 1,000 years. The flat sucks up the air from the hall inside. Outside comes the heat. Firefighters get inside and go around for a while, then they go outside. We don't need to put out any fire, but there is a dead guy in there. What? They work for a while and we let them work. When they look finished, I go inside to check out what happened inside. The flat looks not bad. Then I turn left into a living room. The room is completely black, edges melted here and there, but mostly intact. In the middle of the room there is the guy. He is sitting in an armchair, facing a TV in the corner of the room. He is black in some places, but mostly his skin looks like a melted candle. Some places of his skin are completely smooth and almost white. The smell is that of a badly burnt meat. Hold the urge to vomit somehow. Get out of the room and check out other rooms. Nothing unusual. Then I check the main door. On each edge of the door there is a square quadrangle with 4 holes in it, the size of a thumb. There is an additional lock which turns 4 bars on each edge of the door to lock it. 2 down into the floor and 2 upwards into the door frame. This much protection I saw first time in my life, but we were in a ghetto after all. Firefighter leader tells us that the guy probably had a smoke since the fire started in front of him. Fell asleep or something. The cigarette started a fire. The smoke strangled the man, then burnt the body and the flat for a while. Then physics worked, and since the fire didn't have any oxygen because every window and door was closed, it just went out itself. The firefighters did not use a single liter of water, which was lucky for the neighbors under the guy. The firefighters are finished, and then leave, as do the special order unit. We wait for 2 hours for criminalistics to come down. They check it out, say it's just an accident, so they leave. It fell into our hands to investigate. The guy was actually an old man, without any relatives. The door was smashed up, and we could not close it and lock it, so we needed someone to take it. Wife, son, brother, it did not matter to us. We managed to dig up a stepson, who said fuck off to us, so we had to guard the flat until someone took it or repaired the door. We meant me in this case, of course. I was the newbie. Short round being the fucker he is, left me there to guard it without us taking turns. I close the door as much as I can because I don't want to be inside and wait. Stand guard for 2 hours. Undertakers come along. They lift the old man off the armchair and the body is burned to the armchair. As they lift him up, this rips up his backside and some of his insides spill out on the armchair. Burnt smell spills out again. Almost vomit. The dead know only one thing. It is better to be alive. They take him away. Now guard the door for hours. Only thing I have on me is my equipment. My watch, letter, and cigarettes, an old push-button phone. Sit down on the stairs with a view of the flat and keep guard. Get bored and check inside the flat. Normal everyday flat. The right side from the door is completely untouched by the fire. The middle side is melted a little, and the living room is the worst. Check around. Normal furniture. Closed windows with open blinds on them. Go outside of the flat and sit on the stairs. It is around midnight now. Hear a low noise from inside the flat. Yeah, right, .jpg. Ignore it. I checked the flat like 3 times before, and there was nothing in there. Another hour passed and I get sleepy. Hear the noise again. Something like a low rustle of things. Go inside the flat to check it out. Shine flashlight around. Check the burnt out living room. Nothing. Start to turn around and leave when the light rests on the blinds. They move once, only a little. Let the eye of the flashlight rest on the blinds for a while. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Now they move and rustle around a little. Nothing. What? It is virtually impossible for the blinds to move. The windows were closed and there was no draft. Get to the blinds and window and open the window wide for a while. As oxygen gets inside, I can breathe a little easier. Close the window. Check other rooms and find nothing. Sit on stairs outside. Wait for hours again and hear nothing from inside. Forget about the noise and get angry for being stuck here, guarding the door again. In the morning, ask the landlord for some tools. Hammer specifically. Ram the hammer to one of the square quadrangles a few times to get it in a normal position and manage to lock it. And shift. Get a shower and go to sleep. Few months later, I talk about this with my religious grandmother. Tell her about the weird noise. Maybe his spirit wanted to get out, and with everything closed, couldn't. You did good by letting the poor man's spirit to rest. I was never religious, and I never will be, but this made me think a little about things. Ask friend if he knows anyone who had access to some tools I needed to finish a project. Say sure, he knows a guy from work that would be happy to help. Apparently he was interested in the same kind of art, but warns me he's a bit off. Drive friend to work one day. He introduces me. Guy seems really distant and withdrawn. Shakes my hand and we chat a bit. He seems really interested in the woodwork I was doing, and we talked about sculptures and such for a little while. Things we'd learned, tools we used, etc. Guy warms up a bit, and I ask him if it would be alright if I checked out some of his stuff. He hesitantly agrees, kind of like when you're trying to come up with an excuse, but just can't. He tells me to swing by that night. We can chat over a few beers. Okay, sure. Later that night I get a call. It's the guy. He sounds a little shaken up. Says things are chaotic at home, and right now isn't a good time. Says he'll call me sometime. Whatever, sure man. 2 weeks go by. Guy calls one afternoon. Says things have settled down, and he wants me to bring over some of my works as well. to compare and blah blah blah. Sure dude. So I start to head over, and notice this guy lives in the middle of fucking nowhere. I had to call him up just to find his house. It's at the end of a long driveway. Beautiful acres of land. The driveway is littered with trees, and his house is actually pretty nice. As I come up the driveway, something strikes me odd about the trees I'm passing up. They all have faces carved into them, facing the driveway. Twisted, pained faces. I didn't think much of it. I make morbid stuff myself, and in fact I was very impressed. The amount of detail was staggering. Looking out onto the tree line of the property, every tree had a painted face looking in on the house, almost like the woods were watching you wherever you were. This actually kind of creeped me out. Looking out was like seeing 100 or so white faces, just crying out, kind of like they wanted your attention. Knock on the door. Guy answers with a beer in hand, and a much friendlier demeanor than before. Helps me carry some of my stuff in, and he shows me around. Guy seems pretty cool. Begin to notice each room has one of those same damn faces hanging above the doorframe. The more I saw them, the more I felt sick. Up close, the faces were more detailed than I had imagined, almost surrealistic. I asked him what his focus on the faces were for, and the guy kind of tensed up and dodged my question. Upon entering his workshop, which was fucking sweet by the way, he seemed to have other interests besides creepy faces. Entire 7-foot sculptures of women, men, animals, etc. All very well done. And one with a tarp in the back, just chilling there. He says it isn't done yet, so I don't bother. It was right in front of a door that I think led to another room. We began working on stuff together, trading stories, and times we had accidentally injured ourselves. Suddenly, subject changes. Guy asks me what I think about God. Tell him I'm not very religious, but I don't rule anything out. Guy starts getting a bit loud, saying that God is a blatant lie. He was told so. By who? He kinda silenced for a moment, and then abruptly asked me if I believed in spirits. Gave him the same kind of answer. It's possible. He starts looking around the room, as if seeing if anyone is around, and then his voice goes soft, and he kind of whispers for a moment. I see things in the woods. At dusk I can see their shadows. Sometimes they whisper from the trees, and I can hear them. Fucking nope. Obviously this guy is mentally disturbed. Egg him on. Ask him what they tell him, etc. They just tell him that God is a lie. Only thing after death is darkness. He says they laugh at him, and leave dead animals at his tree line. Officially creeped out at this point. He said that for a while they visited him at night, and each face carving represented a different spirit that had visited him. Says that they can't stand looking at themselves in death, so they don't step within the tree line. Thus why he has the entire thing carved out. I'm pretty silent at this point. I hadn't had goosebumps so bad since I was a kid, and chills just running up my spine. He told me they talked to him from the tree line at night, and tried to get him to leave his home. I eagerly tried to change the subject. Guy looks down and just keeps talking. He is as pale as a sheet, and was obviously genuinely terrified. He even kind of looks like he's welling up. Tells me I'm the only person he's told. Knowing I'm a stranger, he apologizes. Says he's scared, and doesn't know what to do anymore. I try my best to awkwardly console the stranger, and the guy actually kind of starts to break down. I think he needs help, but it's not my place to give it to him. Regrettingly ask him why he's afraid. Says the faces don't work anymore, and 2 weeks ago, he hid something terrible in his living room. Huh? He walks over to the tarp sculpture and pulls the tarp off, to reveal the most mangled, terrible thing I have ever seen. It hardly resembled a human being. It was terrifying to have imagined this guy seeing it standing in his living room. Shortly after, a loud bang on the wall to my right. I nearly jumped out of my skin. This guy didn't even flinch. Then again, bang. Then it just continued, on, continuously, like hail hitting a tin roof. Guy screams stop it, and it ceases. After that I grabbed my shit, tell the guy I'm sorry, and got out of there as quickly as possible. As I'm leaving his home and driveway, I look into the rearview mirror. The tree line is darker than I've ever seen. Guy calls a week later and apologizes, says he was silly, and everything is okay now. Friend says guy quit. Never hear from him again. Not a great storyteller. Maybe I'll organize it into a proper greentext someday. But I was in the army and had experiences that were unsettling, but don't really have a resolution. Here is one that bugs me. BME early 2000s, army. Top secret clearance, plus job where I get attached to all kinds of missions as one-offs. A lot of times in Afghanistan, get attached to units who helicopter in, go into a compound at night. The shooter guys do the shooting. I go in and check out the building for booby traps and evidence. One time get called to be attached to FTF, Focused Target Force. Military likes to make up silly names. Basically, conventional infantry guys who got slotted in for some extra training and act as baby door kickers for missions that like Rangers or SOF or whoever don't have time for. Pretty normal pre-mission, but some DoD civilians were also attached. Everyone thinks PMCs are some kind of spooky, but mostly lame. The real spooky is DoD civilians, former special whatever operators, decked out in cool gear. They're there to observe and make recommendations. Translation: they had stuff to do we weren't read on to know about. Mission happens. FDF guys go into a falling apart qualot, house compound, that's clearly not lived in. Something usually used by insurgents as a drop-off point. One insurgent gets shot. I do my BDA, check body for booby traps, start collecting intel items. Guy has a red US passport on him. Red passports are for official US government personnel. Small notebook. Flip through, and it's in English, not Pashto or anything local. Lots of numbers, like NSN looking, with occasional written comments and margins. Bag everything. Back at base, DoD guy comes in and takes the passport, notebook, and SD card out of my evidence camera. Never hear more about it.